Hello, loved ones connecting with me. This is Henry Duodu APPIAH-KORANG, and I just want to give out something that is really ascent, trying to help most African countries. I'm just giving out my own opinions and then my own ideas, and then I believe that if we follow this strategy, it is going to help us, whether Africans. I'm particularly for the Africans because I'm African, and then I want to just give out some solutions on how African countries like Ghana, we can come out from this darkness, whether it is Burkina Faso, whether it is Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Mali, Kenya, every African country. I believe that if we follow this practical wisdom key, it's going to help us. I know there might be some kind of several solutions out there, but whilst I was praying, I just felt this wisdom coming to me, and I have to share with my fellow loved ones, whether you're in Africa, whether you are in Asia, in America, in Europe, wherever you find yourself. I believe that when we follow this practical wisdom, it is going to help us, because it is through wisdom that a house is built. So, looking at the condition of most African countries, I can see that in our time, in this era, there is something going on, and there is a revolution that is coming out. And I believe that if we can become one as Africans, if we can build ourselves, if Africa can unite, if Africa can become prosperous, if Africa can become who we are supposed to become, I strongly believe that if we follow this practical wisdom, it is going to help us. It is going to help us practically. It's going to help us economically, financially, socially, spiritually, morally, in fact, in almost every aspect of our life. So I believe that if we follow this master, I'm going to share with you, if we follow it, it's going to help us. Doesn't matter the country you find yourself, but I am specifically for the African country. This is Henry Duodu APPIAH-KORANG. This is Henry Duodu APPIAH-KORANG, and I encourage you to check on my blog, henryduodu.blogspot.com, or check on rockofheaven.com for more wisdom keys. So now the issue of African countries, I believe that we have to check now before we give a solution. You have to deal with the root cause. I believe that nothing happens without a cause. There is always a cause for a situation. Something called, I think, cause, law of cause and effect, something like that. Nothing happens without a reason, without a cause. So if we want to deal with the case of Africa, we must know the root cause. What is happening? Why is Africa not developing? Why is Africa not rising? So we deal with the root cause. For instance, if you want to deal with a bad fruit, you have to check the tree. You have to check the root of the tree, whether the tree is working. Because if you deal with the leaves of the tree, there's no way that you have to deal with the roots of the tree to help you get better fruit. So if we want to deal with the case of Africa, what we are going through, the challenge, the confusion, the darkness, the misunderstanding, the chaos, the conflict, whatever is going on, we have to first search for the root cause. And I believe that one of the root cause is our system of governance. One of the root cause is our system of governance. So if you look at democracy, is democracy really helping African countries? Kebi. No. I believe that democracy is another level of governance. Although we have different kinds of governance political system, some believe in authoritarianism. I don't go into this authority, democracy, conservatism, capitalism, all those. I don't go into those economic aspects. I just want to come down to the the main condition. Is democracy really helping Africa? The answer is no, because the level at which we are, democracy cannot really help. When we get to a state, that is where we can apply democracy. So at this channel, in this jurisdiction, at this juncture, or say you use authoritarianism, I don't know, authoritarian kind of governance. I don't know whether it's a military kind of governance, and we need a leader. I mean, a leader who is selfless, a leader who is decisive, a leader who has the growth of the country at heart. If that leader is selfless, visionary, decisive, and very bold and courageous, and he uses an authoritarian kind of leadership, or maybe let's say a kind of military kind of leadership to lead, I believe that African countries can grow. So, to my understanding, I believe that democracy is not right, it's not good right now, because the opposition party, if you try to climb, the other party also try to bring you down. So for now, I don't believe that when we use democracy, it can help. Now, let's look at the strategies of some countries. For instance, let us look at China. We all knew China was in a very great poverty. But today, what kind of governance strategy are they using? So we look at China, their strategy, how they are rising. Today, China is rising at a very higher pace. They are developing economically, they are developing physically, technologically. In fact, they are rising. What kind of governance is China using? So we look at the strategy, the system of China. I know China is in Eastern Africa. I'll come there. But let us observe, let us look at the strategy, the political system of China, and how they are developing their country, and how we Africans can also learn from them and apply them in our system. Now, if you check, there's a man called Muammar Gaddafi. I think he was the leader of Libya. What kind of strategy was Muammar Gaddafi using to develop Libya? And what can we learn from his strategy, from his wisdom? So we all knew that Libya was one of the most powerful countries, and today, because of this Western powers, this kind of corruption out there, today that man is dead. But I believe that his wisdom is still there, his spirit is still there. So if we check the strategy of Muammar Gaddafi, the good strategy that he used to build Libya, we can also learn something from Muammar Gaddafi. We can learn something from China, what they are doing there. I get me. There's a man called, I think, Lee Kuan Yew or so. I think he was the Singapore president or so. I don't know if I'm sure. He was called Lee Kuan Yew. What kind of governance system did he use to build Singapore? Today, Singapore is one of the most developed countries, the least corrupt countries in the world. So if we check the strategy, the wisdom of Lee Kuan Yew, we can also apply them in most African countries. So let's observe some countries like Burkina Faso, I getting me, some countries like Mali, some country like Niger. These are countries that are trying to use a kind of military or authoritarian leadership or governance or political system to lead their country, and today they are rising higher. So if we look at this country, like for instance Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, he is the now military leader, although it was said he used school. But look at his selfless leadership, his visionary leadership. In fact, when he wake up, when he say he wants to do this, he does, because there's nothing called democracy to stop him, because he has that vision. He is very selfless, decisive. So if we look at, for instance, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, I think there's a man called Paul Kagame or so, one of the African country leaders. What kind of strategy are they using to build their country? So African leaders can also learn from these leaders. I get me. We can learn from these leaders. We can pick their governance strategy. I'm not saying we should go and do a coup, but if coup is the best way, why not? But I believe that coup does not mean that we use guns to go and kill. No, If the government on power, or if the government in power is not helping the country, then he must be demoted, and we must put a leader who is selfless, who is visionary, who is authoritative, who has the development of the country at heart, and let us put him on the power, on the seat, and let him make bold decisions like Ibrahim Traore, like the president of Niger, of Mali, and all these things. We have leaders out there. For instance, I think we know our past president, our first leader, I think Kwame Nkrumah. What kind of strategy did Kwame Nkrumah use? I learned that Kwame Nkrumah wrote a lot of books. I learned he wrote a lot of books, and then he have many visions, and then how Africa can unite. He was against this colonialism and whatever they call it, the imperialists. Now I don't go into all those things, but if you look at the vision and the mission and then the strategy of Kwame Nkrumah, you could see that he has a very great insight for African countries. So let us look at the vision, let us look at the mission, let us look at the wisdom, the plans of Kwame Nkrumah, and then let us see how we can adapt that into African countries. I learned he has written several books, so I believe that his wisdom is still there. Our African leaders, let us go and search for Kwame Nkrumah's wisdom, his plans, and how we can use it to build our economy. Also, let us look at some countries, let us look at some African countries that are least corrupt. If we look at these countries, for instance, we know Seychelles, we know Botswana, I think Rwanda, Mauritania. These countries are least corrupt. So what kind of system are they using to avoid corruption in their country? These are African countries. These are not European or American countries. These are African countries which has a kind of a least kind of corruption. So what kind of anti-corruption system are they using to build their country? So we go to Seychelles. What kind of anti-corruption system are they using to overcome corruption? Botswana, maybe Rwanda, maybe Mauritania. What kind of system are they using to avoid corruption? If you look at countries like maybe Denmark, countries like, let's say, Denmark, Norway, Singapore, Switzerland, Norway, Sweden, Holland, Germany, these are least corrupt countries. What kind of anti-corruption system are they using to control corruption there? So if you look at their anti-corruption system, what are they using? What are they doing? What plans are they putting in place to avoid corruption in the public sector, in the private sector, in the organization, in the institution? So if we look at these countries, as I said earlier, that Seychelles is in Africa, they are not all that corrupt. Let's say Botswana, Mauritania, and Rwanda, all these countries are least corrupt. When we come, let's see the American countries, the European countries, the Asian, we know that Denmark is there, we know that Singapore is there, we know Sweden is there, Germany is there, Holland is there, that is Netherlands, we know Finland is there. You see that all these things, countries are there. We can learn something from them, the system they are using to avoid corruption in their country. So another key you have to know is about our constitution. You see, most African countries, our constitution, can we change it? Can we change our constitution, or can we reconstruct our constitution? Because our constitution is not helping. So if we can reconstruct our constitution to help fit into our agenda, it can help us build our country. So for instance, if we can nationalize a developmental project, an agenda that, irrespective of the governor or the power that comes in control, the party that comes in control, there is going to be a national agenda that it doesn't matter your political party. When you come to power, it is what you must do for the country, and it must be in the constitution, whether party A, party B, party C, or party D. It doesn't matter the kind of political party come in. When you come, it's a national agenda. You must follow it, you must do it, you must oblige by it. It is in the constitution that you are mandated and obligated to do it. So for instance, we can decide that every year we are making 6,000 kilometers of ultramodern road. It's a national agenda. Every year we are building 5,000 hospitals. It's a national agenda. Every year we are building 100 factories. It's a national agenda. So when the political party comes on power, they are mandated in the constitution to do it, and they must do it, and they will do it. So I think if we look at these strategies, it can help us to build a better Ghana, to build a better Africa, and to build a better world for us. This is Henry Duodu APPIAH-KORANG. I believe that this short wisdom key will help us. You can check on my blog www.rockofheaven.com. Nyankopɔn nhyira yɛn, ɔmboa yɛn, ɔma ne tumi nka yɛn ho wɔ Yesu din mu nti. Amen.